Hello again, YouTubers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm your host, the Board Game Captain, and today I'm going to be reviewing and showing you how to play Bring Your Own Book by Gamewright. So Gamewright put this game out. It is for 3 or more players. It is meant to last 20 minutes, and it is for ages 12 and up. Now, for starters, for the ages 12 and up, that's a bit of a significant overestimate. This game can be played by anyone who's old enough to read. So you could bring it right down to the single digits in age. That's not a problem. The rules are very simple. For the 3+ players, I've played this at all different sizes, and I do want to specifically say while it is totally playable at 3 players, this game really plays better with more players. The more players, the better. This is a party game. It is definitely a party game at its core, and like many party games, the more the merrier. Now, 20 minutes is probably a good estimate, but it varies a bit. Especially depending on how many players you're using and how evenly the points are being divvied up. If everybody's getting a few points and it's really being divvied up evenly, the game will last longer, whereas if one person is dominating, it could be over very fast. So let's take a look at the components. Now, the first thing I want to draw attention to, and if you watch my videos you know I'm a fan of, is when they go a little out of their way to make a really nice box. Now, this box is meant to look like a book. It's got a magnetic closure. And on the inside of the box, along with some coupons and the rule book and the fact that it comes with a nice Bring Your Own Book bookmark, and then of course the game components itself, they've got a very interesting inside lid here. Now, this is actually meant for you to write down and chronicle all the books that you have used with this game. Now, we're not doing that because we don't like to mark up our games, but it is a cool thing. If you wanted to do it, you could as you play this game again and again, mark down all the books that you've played with it. It's a pretty neat thing to do. Now, the actual game is really just 2 main components. It's a sand timer and a deck of cards. Let me pull out the deck of cards to show you. Now, the deck of cards says Gamewright and Bring Your Own Book on the back. And then on the front of the deck, you have 2 options for categories. So for instance, this first card I've pulled off here, the options are the name of a sports car with a huge engine and text on a birthday card. So let me show you that. Now, this is the main game right here. Before you start play, everybody goes and grabs a book, which now this was one of Lynn's purchases from this year's Gen Con, and both Lynn and I are big readers. Especially in recent years, I've gotten back into reading again, and I try to read about 30 to 40 books a year. So we have a library in the house. We have a room dedicated just to being full of books. So we thought this was great. People would come over. We can play it. We can run to the library. Everybody grabs a book. We go downstairs and we play it. And that's what we've done. We've done it about half a dozen times or so. The rules are fairly simple. Everybody grabs a book. You run to the bookshelf. You grab your book. You're good to go. You come over to the table. You've got the cards. You've got the sand timer. The sand timer and the cards go in the middle of the table. Whoever goes first draws a card. So I'm going to mix it up a little bit again and get a new card. So I draw my card. I'm going first. I take a look at my card. Now, my card has 2 categories on it. It has Overheard in a Dream and a line from a science textbook, which Lynn actually used a science textbook the last time we played this game. That would have been really easy. So here we go. Let me show that to you. A line from a science textbook and Overheard in a Dream. Now, it's my job first to choose one of these categories. So I'm going to say Overheard in a Dream because that is a fun category. So I say Overheard in a Dream. Everybody grabs their book and they start looking feverishly. Oh my goodness, Overheard in a Dream, Overheard in a Dream. What can I find? What can I find that was Overheard in a Dream? Here we go. I got something. So I grab the sand timer and I flip it. Now everybody else around the table has till this timer runs out to find something while I sit here and I twiddle my thumbs. The timer doesn't last that long. They rush along, find something in the books. They say, got it, got it, got it. Anyone doesn't have it by the time that this sand timer runs out of time, and they have to turn to a random page and just pick the first thing they see. Everybody reads it out loud. By the way, if I was the one picking the category, I would not be one of the people reading out loud, because then it is my job to judge everybody else as they read it out loud. So, overheard in a dream. You mean some of your ridiculous fairy stories? I found something quick and simple. But there you go. Everybody reads something that they think would be overheard in a dream, and then it is my job to judge. I hear them all. I say, you know what? Yours sounds best. You get the card. I give them the card. The card is like a point. You get to hold on to it. Now, with about 3 to 5 players, you need to collect 5 cards to win. After anyone collects 2 cards, you pass the books to the left. So that way, everyone gets a chance, hopefully, to use everyone else's book who's playing at the table. If you're playing 6 to 8 players, you still pass the book after someone gets 2 cards, but you only need 4 cards to win, because there's a lot more people playing, and that helps try to keep the amount of time in check so it doesn't get crazy and out of hand. There's a bunch of variants and optional rules that you can use in the rule book, which allow you to do it a little differently. Like when you're voting, instead of having one person decide, everybody votes. You go 1, 2, 3, and everybody points at the person they think has the best, and some other optional rules like that for different ways of scoring and such. That's how the game plays. It's very simple, very basic. The rules are a little pamphlet. It's not even really a rule book. That is the rules of the game right there. The back is just a word from the company, and the front is what's in the box and the basic objective. That's the whole rules. That's how you play the game. Not a whole lot to it. I don't even need to cut away and go to another shot to show you how to play the game. That's the whole game. So the game is fun. It's simple. It's not meant to be a super serious game. If you're looking for a deep, serious game to sink your teeth into, this is not your game. If you like to get competitive, this is not your game, because a big part of this is it's very subjective. While it says you have to, whoever it is who's reading the card chooses the best answer, what it usually comes down to is, so I say something like overheard in a dream, or let me pull another random one out. So this one says a line from an obituary or text on a birth announcement. So let's say I pick a line from an obituary, and I say a line from an obituary. Now, as long as everybody reads a line that sounds like it could be a line from an obituary, what it usually comes down to is whichever one I find funniest. And that's the general gist. Everybody usually picks the one that's the funniest, as long as it fits the category. So while this is a fun game, there are some downsides to that. My first inclination in playing this game, when we ran and grabbed it and bought it and brought it home and opened it up and played it, was to grab one of my favorite books. And as a reader, that was what I was like, wow, this is great. I can use some of my favorite books I've ever read as playing pieces to the game. So I went and I grabbed The Algebraist by Ian M. Banks. I love this book. This is a fantastic work of fiction. Really, really phenomenal book. I lost miserably, because that's not what this game is about. After playing this game a few times and seeing what sort of answers won you the game, I realized what this game was about. It was about making people laugh. And I pulled an ace out from up my sleeve, and I chose this book, The Beavis and Butthead Encyclopedia. I know I should be embarrassed that I actually have this in my library, but I do, because back in the day, I bought it back when the original show was big. And you know what? I won in a landslide victory, because I made people laugh with every answer. So the game wasn't what I thought it was. The game is not about picking your favorite books and using them as playing pieces. The game is about picking weird, zany, off-the-wall books. Things that you can get bizarre phrases that'll fit a category but also make the person who's judging you laugh. And that's really what it's about. So now, that can be a positive or a minus depending on how you look at it, but for me, that takes away from it a little bit, because I was really looking forward to constantly picking my favorite books, and a lot of my favorite books are on serious topics, and then I can't necessarily use them because they don't have a lot of silly lines like that, like ridiculous lines. I generally do much better with the Beavis and Butthead Encyclopedia than I would with the Algebraist, and there you go. Now, that doesn't mean the game's not fun. The game is fun. But again, it's also very specific in when you're going to play this game. The more the merrier. So you are not going to play this. One, you can't play it with 2 people. That's just not possible. And you can play it with 3 people, and while it's okay with 3 people, it really shines more when you have like 5 people. Or maybe even more, maybe 6, 7, 8. It's a party game. It's a zany party game. You laugh it up, yuck it up. Works really well like that, as long as you understand that you shouldn't be picking super dry, serious material for your books. You gotta pick some zany stuff and go with it. One of my other downsides for this, though, even though I really like this box, really like that they went the extra mile, made it look like a book, have the bunch of books on the cover to show you, which is really cool, have this thing to fill out here. The game really is just a deck of cards and a sand timer. It's the whole game. And it feels to me like the game itself is actually just about unnecessary for playing the game. You could, instead of a sand timer, you could use a timer on a cell phone. Instead of the cards, you could have whoever's turn it is pick a topic off the top of their head, and they could come up with something really zany. Like, for instance, I could say a comic book superhero's name. There you go. I don't even know if that's a card in here, but it's just something that popped off the top of my head. I mean, granted, having the cards is nice because you don't have to come up with something on the spot, and coming up with something on the spot might take you a few minutes. But it's not 100% necessary. I mean, so for that, it takes a little bit away. Now, while I think this game is fun level-wise, a little bit higher than I rated it on Board Game Geek, because of how little there is to this, because of how few components there are, and because of how, if on a car trip I didn't have this game, I could play this game with the other people in the car just with a cell phone timer, it takes a little bit away. So I decided to rate this game 6 out of 10 stars. Now, 6 out of 10 stars on Board Game Geek means this game is pretty good. It's okay. I would play it if I'm in the mood. And I have to add one addendum to it. I'll play it when I have the right number of people around, because this game really does require you have a good number of people. But I will play this game. I'm not getting rid of this game. I'm not. Well, it's not my game to get rid of. It's Lynn's game, but I know she's not getting rid of it. And even if it was mine, I would still keep it, because you know what? I like it. It looks nice. I really like the presentation of the box, and I will play it when I have a good number of people over for a party, and we're looking for a good party game to play. So if you're looking for a party game, if you have a lot of books around to grab from, if you have a library in your house, buy this game. It's not a mistake to get this game. I gave it 6 out of 10 stars mainly because, like I said, I do feel like there's not enough to it. I wanted a little bit more. And the fact is, as cool as the theme is of grabbing one of your books and using it, it didn't work as well as I thought it did, in that I wasn't really able to use my favorite books in a successful way. Also, when it comes down to it, the major component of the book, the major component of the game doesn't come with the game. The major component of the game is something that you have yourself. It's books. As long as you got some books on you, you can, like I said, you can play this game with your books that you have on you, and really the game is almost unnecessary. So for those reasons, I give it 6 out of 10 stars. However, I do know that Lynn liked this game more than me, so let's get a second opinion. Lynn, how many stars out of 10 would you give to Bring Your Own Book?
7.
So Lynn gives it 7 stars, which is that she really liked it. And I know she does. She has to play this game every time we have at least 3 people over, so she disagrees with me a little bit. She thinks that 3 people is plenty to play this game, and she does enjoy it, and it's why we've played it about half a dozen times already. Even though we've bought so many games at Gen Con and had so many different games to choose from, she does keep requesting to play this game. So there you have it. More for her than it is for me, but I liked it too. It's a fun game. So tell me what you think. If you want to comment on anything about this video, please comment down below. And as always, if you like this video and you want to see more like it, please, please, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, game on.